Gratitude keeps you grounded while greed keeps you empty. And if you really stop and think about it, that's where most people lose the battle before they even begin. You wake up every day chasing something bigger, something better, something more, but you never take a second to appreciate what's already in your hands. That's the trap, because when you're always focused on what you don't have, you blind yourself to what you do have, and that mindset will drain you faster than hard work ever could. See, gratitude is power. It anchors you, it centers you, it reminds you that you're already blessed, already equipped, already in a position that someone else is praying for right now. But greed will have you feeling like you're always behind, like you're never enough, like no matter how much you achieve, it still won't satisfy you. And that's a dangerous place to live, because you'll start measuring your worth by what you lack instead of what you've built. You'll start comparing your journey to everybody else's highlight reel. And now you're not just tired, you're empty. You gotta understand, success isn't just about getting more, it's about becoming more, and you can't become more if you're constantly ungrateful for where you are. When you practice gratitude, you operate from a place of abundance, you move differently, you think differently. You carry yourself with confidence because you know you've already been given something valuable. And when you're grounded like that, you make better decisions, you stay focused, and you don't get distracted by every shiny opportunity that comes your way. But when greed takes over, you lose that foundation. You start chasing everything and committing to nothing. You start moving fast but going nowhere. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Having more doesn't fix emptiness. You can have the money, the success, the recognition, and still feel lost inside if you never learned how to appreciate the journey. Gratitude fills that gap. It reminds you why you started. It fuels your discipline. It gives meaning to your grind. So instead of waking up saying, I need more, start waking up saying, I'm thankful for what I have and I'm going to build from here. That shift right there, that's what separates people who burn out from people who break through. Because when you're grateful, you don't quit. You don't fold under pressure. You don't lose yourself chasing things that were never meant for you. You stay grounded, you stay hungry in the right way, and you keep pushing forward with purpose. And that's the difference. Greed makes you chase endlessly, but gratitude gives you direction. You don't need more. You need perspective, and that's the truth most people are not ready to face. Everybody out here grinding, chasing the next level, saying if I just had a little more, I'd be happy. If I just made a little more money, I'd feel successful. If I just had a better situation, I'd finally be at peace. But let me tell you something, that mindset right there is the reason you're stuck. Because it's not about what you have, it's about how you see what you have. See, there was a time in your life when you prayed for the very things you now take for granted. You begged for opportunities, for growth, for a chance. And now that you're here, you've forgotten the hunger, you've forgotten the gratitude, and now you're acting like it's not enough. That's not a resource problem, that's a perspective problem. When your perspective is off, nothing will ever feel like enough. You can achieve more, earn more, gain more, and still feel empty, still feel behind, still feel like you're losing. But when you shift your perspective, everything changes. Gratitude opens your eyes. It makes you realize that you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience, from lessons, from strength that you didn't even know you had. And when you recognize that, you stop complaining and start building. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start maximizing the moment you're in. That's where growth happens, because the truth is, success isn't about having unlimited resources. It's about using what you've got like it's enough. And when you treat what you have like it's enough, you unlock a different level of creativity, discipline, and focus. You stop making excuses. You stop blaming your circumstances. You start taking ownership, and that's powerful. Greed will have you constantly looking at what's missing, constantly comparing yourself to people who are on a different path, at a different stage, with a different story. It'll have you feeling like you're behind when you're exactly where you need to be, but perspective will ground you. It'll remind you that your journey is yours, and every step, every struggle, every small win matters. You gotta understand, you don't grow by obsessing over what you lack. You grow by appreciating what you have and pushing it to its limit. That's how you evolve. That's how you level up. So instead of saying, I need more, start asking, am I using what I already have to its fullest potential? Because chances are you've got more than enough to take the next step, you're just not seeing it clearly. And once your perspective shifts, once you start seeing your life through the lens of gratitude instead of lack, you become unstoppable. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally realize you don't need perfection to progress. You just need vision, discipline, and appreciation for the journey you're on. Greed distracts while gratitude focuses, and if you don't understand that, you'll spend your whole life busy but never truly productive. See, greed has a way of pulling your attention in 100 different directions at once. It makes you look at what everyone else is doing, who's winning, who's ahead, who's got more. And before you know it, you're no longer locked in on your own purpose. You're scrolling, comparing, doubting, switching paths every time something new looks better than what you're building. That's how people lose momentum. That's how dreams get delayed, not because they weren't possible, but because the person chasing them couldn't stay focused long enough to see them through. But gratitude sharpens your vision. It reminds you why you started, what you already have, and where you're going. When you're grateful, you stop looking left and right, and you start looking forward. You stop chasing everything, and you start committing to something. And that's where real power comes from: focus. Because let's be real, success isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things consistently, over and over again, even when it's not exciting, even when nobody's watching. Greed will make you impatient. It'll make you want results right now, and when they don't come fast enough, you jump ship. You quit, you start over, and now you're stuck in a cycle of starting but never finishing. But gratitude builds patience. It allows you to respect the process, to understand that growth takes time and that every small step matters. When you're grateful, you don't rush the journey. You embrace it, you learn from it, you grow through it. And that keeps you locked in. You become disciplined not because it's easy, but because you understand it's necessary. And here's the thing: distraction is the enemy of greatness. Every time you take your eyes off your path, you lose valuable time and energy that you can't get back. Greed feeds that distraction. It whispers, there's something better over there. You're missing out. You should be further ahead. And if you listen to that voice, you'll never be satisfied and you'll never be focused. But when you operate from gratitude, you silence that noise. You get clear. You understand that your lane is enough, your journey is valid, and your progress, no matter how small, is still progress. That clarity gives you an edge. It makes you dangerous in the best way, because while everyone else is distracted, you're dialed in. While everyone else is comparing, you're creating. While everyone else is chasing shortcuts, you're building something real, something lasting. And over time, that focus compounds. It turns effort into results, discipline into success, and vision into reality. So, if you want to win, if you really want to elevate, you've got to make a decision. Are you going to let greed scatter your energy, or are you going to let gratitude concentrate it? Because at the end of the day, the people who succeed aren't the ones who chase the most. They're the ones who stay focused the longest. Gratitude is the real hustle. And most people miss that because they think the grind is only about chasing money, status, and success. But if you study the mindset of people like Eric Thomas, you'll realize the real grind starts internally. It's waking up every single day, not just ready to work, but ready to appreciate the work. Because let's be honest, anybody can hustle when they feel motivated, when things are going right, when the results are showing up. But can you stay consistent when it's quiet, when nobody is clapping for you, when the progress is slow and the results are invisible? That's where gratitude separates the weak from the strong. Gratitude gives your grind meaning. It reminds you that every step forward, no matter how small, is still a step. And when you operate with that mindset, you don't burn out, you build up. See, greed will have you chasing outcomes, always looking for the reward, always asking, what do I get out of this? And the moment the reward doesn't come fast enough, your energy drops, your discipline fades, and your effort becomes inconsistent. But gratitude flips that completely. It makes you fall in love with the process. It makes you show up not because you have to, but because you get to. And that shift is powerful because when you're grateful for the opportunity to grow, to work, to improve, you bring a different kind of energy to everything you do. You become more disciplined, more focused, more resilient. You stop making excuses and start making progress. And here's the truth, consistency beats intensity every single time. You don't need to go hard for one day and then disappear for a week. You need to show up every day with the same hunger, the same focus, the same appreciation for the journey. And gratitude fuels that consistency. It keeps your mindset strong even when your circumstances are challenging. It reminds you that you're not starting from nothing. You're building from something, and that something matters. Greed, on the other hand, will have you constantly dissatisfied. No matter how much you achieve, it'll tell you it's not enough. It'll push you to chase more without ever enjoying what you've earned, and that's how people lose themselves. They reach milestones but feel empty because they never learned how to appreciate the process that got them there. But when gratitude becomes your foundation, success hits different. You don't just achieve, you understand. You don't just win, you value the journey that led to the win, and that's what makes it sustainable. That's what keeps you going long after the hype fades. So if you really want to elevate your life, stop thinking of gratitude as something soft or optional. It's not. It's a discipline. It's a mindset. It's a daily practice. It's the real hustle behind the scenes that nobody talks about, but everybody needs. Because when you master gratitude, you don't just chase success. You attract it, you sustain it, and most importantly, you become the kind of person who can handle it,